If you can't put that damn phone down, you are not alone. We all know that feeling. You pick it up just to check something, and an hour later, you are still scrolling. And no matter how many times you tell yourself, I need to stop wasting time on my phone, it never seems to stick for more than a day or two. It's not your fault. Your phone is literally designed to be addictive. Social media apps are engineered by thousands of experts whose sole job is to keep you scrolling. I used to be just like you. My screen time was out of control and it was affecting everything. My focus, my sleep, my relationships, my goals, until I realized the real reason why I couldn't stop scrolling. And the solution was nothing like what most people recommend. So let me show you the real reason why you can't put that damn phone down, and the simple system that finally helped me to break free. So what's really happening in your brain when you pick up your phone? It all comes down to one powerful chemical: dopamine. Dopamine isn't just the feel-good chemical like most people think. It's actually the wanting chemical. It's what drives you to seek rewards and take action. Every time you get a notification, every time you see a new video on your feed, every time someone likes your post, you get a small hit of dopamine. But here's the key thing most social media companies don't want you to know. It's not the reward itself that hooks you, it's the anticipation of the reward. Think about that moment when you hear your phone buzz. That split second before you check it. That's pure dopamine. The anticipation of what might be waiting for you. And that feeling is actually more powerful than whatever you find when you check your phone. This is called variable reward scheduling. It's the same psychological trick that makes betting on games or refreshing your social media for likes so addictive. When you pull down to refresh your feed, you don't know what you are going to get. Maybe something exciting, maybe nothing. That uncertainty is what makes it compelling. Think about it. Opening Instagram isn't that different from refreshing to see if your post got more likes or checking if your team is winning. You keep coming back hoping for something good, feeling that rush of anticipation each time. And every app uses different dopamine triggers. TikTok uses the endless novelty of short videos that hit your brain with constant stimulation. Instagram plays on social comparison and validation. Snapchat uses streaks to keep you coming back daily. Gaming apps use leveling up and achievements. They are all just different paths to the same destination, keeping you hooked. What's worse is how this affects your brain over time. Your attention span literally shrinks. Studies show the average attention span has dropped from 12 seconds to 8 seconds since smartphones became popular. That's shorter than a goldfish. Then there's FOMO, the fear of missing out. That nagging feeling of if you're not checking your phone, you might miss something important. A message from a friend, a trending topic, a limited offer. FOMO creates actual anxiety that can only be relieved temporarily by, you guessed it, checking your phone again. And it's not just social media. Every app on your phone is designed by teams of engineers and psychologists who understand exactly how to hack your brain's reward system. The infinite scroll, the autoplay features, the notification badges. These aren't accidents. They are deliberate design choices to keep you hooked. That's why willpower alone isn't enough. You're not just fighting your own habits. You're fighting against systems specifically engineered to override your self-control. And the worst part, the more you use these apps, the stronger the neural pathways become. Your brain gets rewired to crave these small dopamine hits, making it harder and harder to resist picking up your phone. This is why traditional advice like just use more willpower or just delete the apps doesn't work long term. You're not addressing the root cause of the addiction, the way your brain has been conditioned to seek these rewards. So if you've tried to cut back on your phone use before, you've probably tried some of these common solutions. Maybe you've deleted social media apps from your phone, but then you found yourself reinstalling these apps when you needed to check something. Or maybe you've set screen time limits, but when that notification pops up saying you've reached your limits, you just tap ignore for today and keep scrolling. Perhaps you've tried keeping your phone in another room while you work or study. That works for a bit, but eventually you find yourself making excuses to go check it just in case somebody important messaged you. All of these approaches fail for the same reason. They rely on willpower, and willpower is a finite resource. Think about it like this. Every time you resist the urge to check your phone, you are using up some of your willpower. And the more decisions you make throughout your day, the more depleted your willpower becomes. By evening, when you're mentally tired from a full day of decisions and self-control, your willpower tank is empty. That's when you're most vulnerable to falling back into old habits. This is why you might start the day with good intentions, but by night you are back to mindlessly scrolling. And here's the thing. These temporary solutions don't change how your brain views your phone. They don't address the dopamine pathways we just talked about. The real problem isn't that you lack discipline. It's that you're trying to use willpower to fight against one of the most powerful psychological forces ever designed. What you need isn't more willpower or another app blocker. What you need is a fundamental shift in how you think about your relationship with technology. If you are finding this helpful so far, a quick tap of the subscribe button will help more than you know. So what's the solution? What finally worked for me wasn't another app or technique. It was a complete shift in how I thought about my phone. The breakthrough came when I stopped viewing my phone as something I needed to resist and started seeing it as a tool that should serve me, not the other way around. You see, most of us have this unconscious belief that our phones are very essential to our lives, that we need to be constantly connected, and we might miss something important if we are not checking it regularly. This creates what psychologists call a scarcity mindset around our phone use. We feel anxious about missing notifications, messages, or content, and this anxiety is what keeps pulling us back to check our phones dozens of times daily. The mindset shift that changed everything for me was moving from a restriction mindset to an intentional use mindset. Instead of asking myself, how can I use my phone less? I started asking, how can I use my phone with purpose? This might sound like a small change, but it completely transformed my relationship with technology. Because when you approach your phone with intention, you take back the control. You stop being a passive consumer who gets manipulated by algorithms and start being an active user who decides exactly how and when to engage with technology. Think about it. You don't overthink or obsess about using your toaster, right? That's because you only use those tools when you have a specific purpose for them. Your phone should be the same way. When I made this shift, my screen time naturally dropped from over 6 hours plus a day to less than 2 without feeling deprived or missing out on anything important. And the best part, it didn't require constant willpower or fighting against my urges. Once I changed how I thought about my phone, the behaviors naturally followed. Now I want to share the exact 4-step system I used to put this mindset shift into practice, because understanding the concept is one thing, actually implementing it is another. The first step is changing how you see yourself. Instead of thinking I'm trying to use my phone less, start telling yourself I'm someone who controls technology, not someone controlled by it. This might seem small, but the words you use to describe yourself are powerful. When you change your identity, your behavior naturally follows. I started saying to myself every morning, I am someone who uses technology intentionally. This simple practice began rewiring how I thought about my relationship with my phone. The key here is consistency. I wrote these identity statements on a sticky note and placed them in my office where I'll see them daily. Seems simple, right? But think about it. You spent years reinforcing the identity of someone who checks their phone constantly. Overriding that requires constant visual reminders. You'll notice this shift is working when you start to feel a disconnect between your new identity and your old behavior. When you catch yourself mindlessly reaching for your phone, it will actually feel wrong, like it doesn't align with who you are anymore. Next, you need to redesign your environment to support your new identity. Remember, willpower isn't enough. You need systems that make intentional use easier than mindless scrolling. Here's what worked for me. I turned my phone to grayscale mode, which instantly made scrolling less appealing. The bright colors in apps are specifically designed to trigger dopamine, and removing them reduces that effect. I also removed all social media apps from my home screen. They are still on my phone, but I have to actively search for them to be able to use them. This small friction is often enough to break that automatic habit of opening them. Another game changer was turning off every single notification on my phone. This way, me opening any app became an intentional choice, not a response to a notification trying to pull me back in. But environment design goes beyond just your phone settings. I started charging my phone outside my bedroom, which immediately improved both my morning routine and my sleep quality. I set up designated phone-free zones like my office. The most common obstacles people face here is thinking they need their phone for legitimate reasons like alarms or emergencies. The solution is simple. Get a cheap alarm clock for your morning wake up and establish clear communication with important people about true emergencies. Everything else can wait. The third step is crucial. You need to fill this void with meaningful alternatives. When you reduce phone use, you will suddenly have pockets of time throughout your day. If you don't plan what to do with that time, you will likely go back to scrolling. I made a list of simple activities I could do instead of reaching for my phone. Reading a few pages of a book, taking a walk, listening to a podcast, or maybe even taking a nap. The key is having options for different time frames. Some phone breaks might be 30 seconds, others might be 15 minutes. I categorize my replacement activities by time required. So I always had something appropriate, whether I was waiting in line or had a full hour free. What most people get wrong is setting unrealistic alternatives. You're not going to start a workout every single time you don't check your phone. Start with tiny, easy activities that require minimal effort but still provide some value. Having this list ready eliminated that "what do I do now" feeling that often drives us back to our phones. The final step is tracking your progress without judgment. I have my screen time display on my home screen, so I'm aware of it daily, but I focus on patterns rather than perfect days. The key is to track with curiosity, not shame. If I notice my screen time increasing, I don't beat myself up. I get curious about what might be causing it, and then I adjust accordingly. A mistake people often make is expecting linear progress. Your screen time will fluctuate. Some weeks will be better than others. What matters is the overall trend and your relationship with your phone, not hitting a specific number. The immediate benefits you notice include better focus, improved sleep, and more time for things that actually matter. But the long-term benefits are even more significant. Stronger real-world relationships, better mental health, and a sense of control over your life, rather than feeling like a puppet of technology companies. This system works because it addresses both the psychological root of phone addiction and the practical aspects of changing habits. It's not about forcing yourself to quit completely and suddenly. It's about gradually shifting towards a healthier relationship with technology. But even with this new mindset about your phone, you might still struggle with staying consistent on your worst days. Those days when you are stressed, tired, or just feeling low, and the pull of mindless scrolling feels almost impossible to resist. That's why in this video, how to actually stay disciplined on your worst days, I show you exactly how to maintain discipline even when motivation is completely gone. Remember, the path is yours to walk, and as always, I'm in your corner rooting for you.